Hey guys, welcome back. If you're here, it's because you want to see how I took photos at this place. Look at this place. Look at the lighting. It's insane. How do you do it here? If you're a natural light photographer, how do you do it? This is part one, okay? Because I make these videos and they're long, and I'm trying to make them longer because I'm trying to be more explanation filled. I want to tell you exactly why. You will see all of my settings, okay? So stick around because part two is going to involve even more crazy lighting and scenarios. So how do you deal with this? All right, if you want to see how I do all this, you need to skip to the 6 minute and 8 second mark because I will go first to the park. So if you want to see park and how I do it there at the portraits, then continue watching. If not, skip ahead. Okay, guys? Thanks. I really do miss my Jeep. I love this car. Guess what I drive now? So I arrived to the park, the same park that I was at yesterday for a different event. Just so happens we're here. This tree is the nicest tree here because it has a lot of shade. The sun is fairly above us. I don't know, above us, but it is off to the side a little bit. So I believe this tree is going to be the best here out of this whole place for the group shots anyways. Then we can move around for the couple shots. What's funny about this tree is that this spot here is the same spot where I took the photos for this same bride 10 years ago for her quinceañera. So today is her wedding day. Crazy that I'm that old now. Damn. It's really interesting looking back at these photos and the metadata because I can see exactly how I took the photo. So I'll explain to you why, but even going back, I'm like, wow. So shutter speed 1/320, aperture 2.8, ISO 1000. This is daylight. You're like, what? Well, I think what it is that we were in a pocket of shade, but the shutter speed did not need to be that high. In hindsight, I could have lowered this to 1/200 and lowered that ISO a little bit.
Like
so
that.
that
When
it
I
didn't
tell you
have
to look
be
at
that
each other,
high.
smile,
The truth is though,
laugh.
these cameras they work so well. They control
Keep
noise so well that it really
now.
didn't matter. So the point here is you're trying to do as much as fast as possible because as per usual, wedding photographers know you don't have that much time. Yes, I had enough time to think about this and lower that shutter speed, and I should have done that. So hindsight is 2020, right? But the photos turned out perfect. It's exactly what I wanted, and there's absolutely no noise in them. If any of you live in the Los Angeles area, specifically in the Valley, this is a San Fernando brand park. It's like a rose garden, although there's hardly any roses here and hardly ever any roses here. But it's a public park that is crazy busy. This wedding was on Father's Day, and I took the job only because I know this girl. I photographed her quinceañera. So it was 10 years ago on this day, almost, same month. So that's why I took this job. But I was happy to be there. But look, again, shutter speed 1/320 is pretty consistent. When you remain consistent, makes it so easy to edit. I can edit all these super quickly because they're consistent. So why do I use a longer focal range? Because I want to isolate the subjects from the background. You see that car right there? Yeah, there's stuff in the background, and you want to avoid that stuff. With a 70-200 or even an 85, you can zoom in and isolate them. You don't have to get anything else. And I really like that. And I'm shooting this way because the sun is behind them this way. So I'm not going to bore you with everything that happens here because if you wedding photographers know, you're going to be doing this over and over and over and over and over again until you get every combination. So I got every bridesmaid, funny, happy, laughing. Variety is what I give, okay? So I'm getting all this because not everybody's there, so I started with this. I will get all the group shots, family shots, but I'm not going to bore you with all that. But now I'm using my 35 and I place them somewhere else where there's more space for them. So here they are. It looks good, but you can tell it's a bit brighter in the background, right? That's because there's not a lot of trees back there. That's why I used that other spot for the two people at a time, because there was more greenery behind them and it wasn't quite so blown out.
I'm gonna move this a tiny bit. Okay, just a little bit more, like that. Actually, just turn your more until I tell you to stop. Right there, right there. And look back at me now. Just like that. Stay like that.
I had to go back and make sure that I was getting the right settings when I was putting them up there. Why do I have it at 1/800? That's obviously not wrong because it looks great, but it didn't need to be that high. You can see how later on I corrected my mistake. It 1/250, aperture 2.8, ISO 1000. There's no external lighting. This is the setting that I needed to be at to make sure that I exposed for their faces. And I got it. So with mirrorless, it's super easy because what you see is what you get. The focal range fluctuates because I'm on my 70 to 200, and it's super easy to just do it that way. Even though I'm a big believer in prime lenses, I absolutely love my 70 to 200. It's so versatile. It's so good for ceremonies and for this. So now we're at the reception, but it's not time for the reception. This is where the ceremony is taking place. So now you're here for this. This is the good part here, or the hard part, because this lighting is insane. Like, I don't know if the GoPro does it justice, because you will look like a Smurf or a cotton candy here, because look, this light is just insane. So I'm putting my lights where I think I'm going to need them, because there's just so much happening here. Weird colors, and there will be even more weird colors later. So if you stick around for part 2, you'll know exactly what I mean. I have the Godox AD200, so I have 3 of them. 2 of them have grids on them, so they're like, they're gonna be pointed a certain direction. This is a backlight, so this has a grid on it. The other one with the MagSphere, that one is my main light. That one is my key light. So that one I'll be using more often than anything. So I took the grid off apparently. I didn't want it. Not today, grid. I took the grid off because then right now they're going to do the ceremony, and the truth is I have no idea where or how they're going to be looking, even though I can see the seats and how they're going to be standing. It's weird. This is weird. This is different. Having a ceremony at this place, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it happens to people. It's happened to me before, but it's always a unique challenge to try and overcome all this crazy LED lighting. So I took the grid off, and now I am going to do my best to figure out where I need to put this. I will move it eventually. Now I'm getting the details, because even though it's not the reception part, we are at the reception. So I have my shutter speed at 1/200, aperture 2.8, ISO 1000, 170 millimeters. But why? Why do I have it like that? I have my flash set very minimally, okay? I want to keep the ambient light. That's why I have the ISOs quite high, because I want to make sure that I incorporate the lighting. So ISOs are 1250, aperture 2.8, 1/200. Can you guys tell me what you would do if you did not want to incorporate the lighting, but rather you wanted to light it up more cleanly with your flash? So what I would do is I would lower the ISO and up the flash power. You see, that'll give you more of daylight balance light, but there's so much ambient light. You really have to cut down on the ISOs to cut down on that ambient light, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep some ambient light, not all, because this is ugly to me, but I want to keep some, and I want to use my flash a little bit to get it. And so I think this is a good middle ground. What do you think? It's not pink, but it's still a little pink, because that's how the place looks. It looks pink. So it's a good compromise, I think. And That's how I got these shots. Tell me how you would do it. Okay, so now the ceremony started, and look at what I have to deal with, man. This is nuts, dude. This is worse than a Catholic church that doesn't let you move. Here, you can't move. Not that they don't let you, you just can't. And so, look, it's not that bad, I guess, because I can be here, but it really was difficult to find the angles. And I am using my main flash here, okay? I'm using it with a kiss of light, but you can still tell there's a little bit of ambient light on their face, but not as much, right? Look, it looks very strong ambient light. But here you can see me messing with the flash because it's not quite where I want it to be. So there is a lot of this trial and error going on to try and get the flash to where I need it to be. But once my settings are dialed in, then they're dialed in. And what I do from there is change certain things. So my ISO here is at 2000. I'm letting a lot of ambient light in, but not as much. And then, of course, there's color correction going on too. So don't get me wrong. It's not all to do with the settings. I color corrected these, but they're all taken pretty much the same. I mean, I really want to stress this part. Look at the settings. They're all pretty similar. The ISOs change a little bit. The shutter speed stays the same. The focal range changes. The aperture is 2.8. Why do you think I do it that way? Some of you more seasoned professionals or you that know already will know. It's because you want to remain consistent. The more consistent you are, the easier it is to edit these things. It's like super easy because they're all almost the same. And the way I have my light set up here is in such a way that it's kind of hitting everything here. So I can move around and the light stays consistent. Consistency is the key here. If you are consistent with your lighting, with your settings, you can edit these quickly. So that's all I'm saying about that. For as much as I try to have my lights in the perfect spots to hit everything evenly, it doesn't quite work out. You have to make adjustments. Right here, the flash is too strong. Do you see what I mean here? It's hitting her body and it's causing this flash shadow. It's too harsh. So you have to make adjustments, and I do. Right here, I just made the adjustment. I take some more photos and then let's see how it looks. So here you see the settings are the same. So what is the adjustment? You don't see that flash shadow here, right? The adjustment was that I toned down the flash. This is before, but then the after. How does it look after? Before and after. After looks better. Just tone down the flash. So you make adjustments as you go. Because if you don't, they are going to be a little bit more difficult to edit. And honestly, the biggest reason why you want to shoot so well is because you want it to be easy for you to edit. You want to edit. You don't want to fix things, okay? You want to edit them and go quickly because you are a busy photographer and you probably have a ton of weddings to edit, like me right now. I should be editing, but I'm making these videos because I feel like these are really helping, especially if I take the time to put the shutter speed and the aperture and everything here. ISO 2000 to let the ambient light in, aperture 2.8, the lowest it goes to let the ambient light in. Shutter speed is 1/200. Sometimes I can lower it to let more ambient light in, but this is fine. Then I use a kiss of flash and I'm getting the shots that I really like. I really hope these videos are helpful because I take a lot of time in doing them. This video is old. I have new weddings that I have on GoPro. So I will continue to make them because I feel like I'm getting a good response. I want to hear your questions. It actually gets me excited that people are watching. So I want to hear what you have to say. And I am breaking this down into two parts. Part 2 actually being the reception portion of this, the more difficult part of this wedding. They're just standing still right now. What happens when they start dancing in this kind of environment and lighting? It's crazy difficult, man. It is. This is probably, how do you natural light photographers do it here? Seriously, because there's no natural light. Do you not take these weddings? I know natural light photographers and they're super scared of flash. I really want to hear from you. How do you guys do it? Stick around for part 2. I would really appreciate it. And thank you so much, guys. Seriously.